Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about tonal values, lights and darks basically. We're using the subject of Red Cliff, which is outside of Moab in Utah. Beautiful red cliffs, river running through them. We're going to do a 4-tone study to precede everything and make ourselves aware of lights and darks, and also be able to concentrate on how that equates into paint consistency. We'll be using 4 distinct values: light, medium, and dark, as well as the white of the paper. I started with pencil lines, light pencil lines, to give me an idea of the shapes, and then I'm going right to the light tone, starting with the light tone, hitting the areas that will be lighter in color, setting up some of the grass, some of the distant land. These angled strokes are indicating falling shadows. And this exercise is really good to make yourself aware of how lights and darks work within your painting. We're adding now the dark tone. The medium dark tone, which paint consistency is much thicker now. And for this exercise, we're using neutral tint. However, you could use another color such as burnt sienna or ultramarine blue. The color should be of the darker variety, since you're going to need some strong darks in the end. Right now, we're painting the water. We've painted the sky. These two are basically equivalent, one reflecting the other, and they help to set off the land in a dramatic fashion. Adding a few touches of this medium tone to make the highlights in the grass, make the angle of the light a little more apparent. And now we're going to start in with darker tones. Darker tones on the deep shadows on the far butte. And this is casting shadows that roll down the butte, so the angle of the light is clarified by some of these strokes that we're using with the mid-tone and the dark tone. The paint consistency now is much thicker. You can tell by the amount of dry brush that you get as you put it on the paper. And it's also clear how effective this dark tone is in making a light area jump out or become visible, such as that little corner on the butte. I'm adding it to the side of the river to get a little darkness just above the water and some reflection. We'll use it in the distance minimally, and then we'll use it in the foreground. And as we're doing this, the forms are coming out a little more. How the way light affects the shape becomes clearer. This picture was used because of the dramatic effect of light, low light hitting the cliffs directly, and it just made this area glow. So now we're going to move into the foreground with the same dark, placing some idea of grass and shadow. These studies don't take long, and they can clarify for the watercolor artist where darks will be effective, where lights will be effective. They'll clarify a center of interest. They'll help you to understand where you have leeway with lights and darks and where you really need a light or a dark. They also clear up problem areas. If two areas are very close in tonality, even if the colors are different and they're different objects or at different distances, you may need to darken or lighten one of those to be able to see it well. And now this little study is getting a finished quality. You can see how the lights bounce your eye around.